Good afternoon, everybody. I don't have a presentation, but I'll try to be brief and would like to share some of the initiatives of Government of India for ensuring inclusive growth. In my opinion, an inclusive growth, as the chairperson said, if it has to be sustainable, it can happen only by empowerment of our people. And I am personally, as well as our department, is dealing with how you can empower people through the data. That is where the ICT comes in. And when I talk data, data means in general data, but very specifically spatial data. So when we look back and see, we have very rich data resources in this country. I belong to a department called Survey of India, which makes maps, which you're all aware of. We have been making maps for the past 245 years. Like that, there are many such other governmental agencies which have been collecting data over a period of time. Unfortunately, many of the departments themselves do not know what data they are holding on to. We are not able to leverage the data sets because we ourselves do not know, let alone the public know about it. That is why there is a need for a metadata. Even if you have a metadata and you are able to discover the data through the metadata, there is a problem of interoperability. That is due to lack of standardization, a lack of uniformity, lack of standard operating procedures for data collection. Even if we ensure interoperability by way of enforcing standards, the policies in the country do not permit much of the data to be shared amongst the agencies, not only the private agencies, even among the governmental agencies. And if we are in the process of creating that kind of an environment through the policies, which will enable easy and affordable data sharing. But finally, it comes to the basic mindset of human being of being very possessive of what he has got and not to share. After all, the human beings form part of the organizations, so the organizational culture and ethos also gets restricted to not to share the data sets. So keeping all this in mind, Government of India tried to do something with regard to the spatial data and with the objective of making the spatial data available and accessible in a standardized digital form. A national spatial data infrastructure was created in the year 2006. And we tried to work on that and create a metadata. Today we have the metadata of about 17 central government departments which are producing the spatial data. And which will also, we have also been in the process of creating the standards for metadata for the spatial data, and also standards for data exchange, standards for data content. It is as a part of the arrangement from the ISO, as well as there is another international organization called Open Geospatial Consortium, OGC, and our own BIS. The standards are being evolved over a period of time. However, it is just not making the data, metadata being made available, or the data is available in a standardized form. We must also make it accessible. Towards that end, we are in the process of creating the geoportals. One of the important geoportals is India Geoportal. Today, India Geoportal is providing a large amount of data in the form of web map services for the topographical data coming from the Survey of India and the remote sense data coming from our own remote sensing geoportal called Bhuvan. Also, some of the agencies like the Geological Survey of India and Forest Survey of India are in the process of creating their own web map services. This is to some extent possible because over a period of time, people sat together and a consensus was evolved amongst the data producing agencies to share the data assets, and which has given a hope for us to take it further. And that's how the Government of India is launching during the 12th plan a plan for establishing state spatial data infrastructure in all the states and the union territories with a total outlay of about 750 crores. It has also been realized that most of the litigation in the country is due to the land. More than 90% of, I was thinking it is 90%, one of the friends while during the lunch break was said it is more than 95% of litigation is due to the land. And most of the land issues are resulting out of non-availability of or accurate and reliable cadastral information. So Government of India has also a huge ambitious program of modernizing land records. There is a national land records modernization program with a total outlay of about 5,600 crores, out of which 3,500 crores coming from the Government of India. It is a tedious process. There are many challenges in that, mostly the technological challenges, like any one of you owning a plot of land wouldn't like the shape, size, or area of the land not to change. But if technologically, if you want to bring a seamless cadastral information, it is difficult. Though there are some solutions which are possible, we are trying it out on how that can be done. Because we have a rich and traditional way of having the land records right from the days of Akbar, more strengthened during the British regime. Our land records are very good. But over a period of time, they have not been maintained, the mutations have not taken place, which results in a lot of litigation. And one more initiative of Government of India, which is of recent thing, on the 17th of March, we notified a national data sharing and accessibility policy, which is jointly being implemented by Department of Science and Technology and Department of Information Technology, under which we envisage over 86 central government ministries and departments to provide the data proactively so that whatever data collected from the public funds is available to the general public. Though it is not going to be completely open in that sense, there is the different levels of access. One is the open access, second is the registered access, and third is the restricted access, but most of the data will be available. Actually, this policy flows from the RTI, the right to information, because the right to information is more of a reactive in nature. When an individual seeks some information, he gets it. Whereas in the National Data Sharing and Accessible Policy, we envisage proactively the government making the data open. I believe there was a session before the lunch on the open data and open government. And I'm sure that our initiative, which is taken in the Government of India, will pave way for the other state governments also to come on board and create such policies where the data is made available. But all these things need awareness. And awareness is created by organizations like this, like Ravi Gupta. Ravi was in big trouble a few years ago, almost over a decade ago, when he was the editor of a magazine called GIS Development. He published a picture of maps in shackles. And probably he was almost going to jail at that time. I don't know how he got out of it. But finally, he has led for the government to bring out the new policy of what is called a national map policy in the year 2005. It's not only the policy which was brought, it is also enabled government to provide open series maps for the entire country, making it available. Today, you can get maps of any part of the country, the topographical maps, I mean. Similarly, which also paved the way for the remote sensing data policy and the present national data sharing and accessibility policy. So the organizations like Ravi Gupta need to create such kind of awareness and pose the issues and the challenges which will help even the government to take into consideration such issues which are of importance, which will certainly empower the people and which will enable an inclusive growth. With these few words, I thank you all and I thank Ravi for giving me the opportunity.